Hello there, welcome back to another session in PHP. So, in this session, we'll be looking at the use of cookies in PHP. So, what is a cookie? Cookie is nothing but a piece of information written on the browser by the server. And every time the client makes a request to the server, the cookie will be sent as part of the request. So, let's take up this small visualization. That is, you have a client. So, here is our client. It can be your laptop wherein you type in your URL, make a request to the server. So here you're going to have the server. And server is going to contain all the web pages that a client requests, right? So every time a client makes a request, a page is sent as a response. So you have a request being made by the client and then a response being sent by the server. When you talk about cookies, cookies is a way to identify the behavior of a client or what the client is more interested in. And it is the piece of information that is returned to the client and it is non-critical information. Let me give you an example. For instance, let's say you are browsing for products and you are interested in a specific product, and say you're browsing for mobile phones in specific, and you're interested in certain mobile phones. So what is that the server can do is the server can write that piece of information that is non-critical. Say I can use $_cookie, and then say if you're interested in Samsung mobile phones, I can very well say mobile is equal to Samsung. So don't worry about the syntax here. What is $_cookie? What is this? It's just that the server will use a syntax like this to set that the mobile phone brand that you're interested in is in Samsung, and this information will be written on the browser. So this is a non-critical information. This is not user ID, this is not password, this is not something that the hackers can make use of and get into your system. So this is a non-critical information that will be stored on the client. In what way this is going to be useful? So next time when the client requests the server, he is going to send the data, the cookie data like mobile and Samsung. So this will be sent to the server and the server will be able to identify, okay, this is what the client is interested in, and more of the products that will be sent back to him will have information on this particular brand called Samsung. So let me repeat, what is a cookie? Cookie is nothing but a piece of non-critical information written on the client by the server. It's non-critical, please understand that. And what is the use of this information? As I told you, with this info, you'll be able to customize the pages that you're supplying to the client, or you can understand what the client is interested in when a request is being made by the client. So for writing a cookie to the client, the server is going to use this method, that is set cookie. And for modifying any cookie, it's going to again call set cookie. So you're going to have the name for the cookie. Here the name is mobile and the value is Samsung. So you're going to have the name, which is mandatory, and then the value. And then we'll also have an expiration time in seconds. So when a server is writing a cookie to the client, it's going to set some time limit for the cookie to be on this client. So I can say the cookie will be alive for 2 days, or the cookie will be alive for the next 1 hour. So you're going to mention the name, that is, what is the name we have given here? Mobile. And we're going to mention the value, say Samsung. And then we'll say how many days or how many hours the cookie should be alive on the client. So these are some of the important parameters, and the mandatory parameter is name for the cookie. And if the server is interested in modifying the cookie that is written to the client, it's going to again call set cookie with the same name and then give a different value so that the cookie gets updated on the client. For deleting cookie, we're going to again call set cookie, but then here the expiration time will give that in negative. So when you give some negative value here, the cookie will be deleted. It means the cookie has expired. Now I'll be showing you a demo which involves this scenario. So we're going to have our client, and we're going to have a server, and this server is going to host a news website. A news website, in the sense, I'm just mimicking a news website. So we'll have a news from various categories like sports, music, and automobile. So when the client requests the news website, we'll be sending a response. So the client will be able to see news from different categories. So it's like you'll be able to view news from all the categories like sports, automobile, music, whatever it is. But a client in specific may be interested in a certain category. So we'll give him the option for registering his interest on a certain category, which he will do so by using radio options. Say he can select sports, which he is more interested in, sports or in automobile or in music. So once when the client registers his interest, we'll be writing a cookie back, that is dollar underscore cookie will be maintained on the client, and we'll say what is his interest, that is the cookie name, and then if he selects sports, then the interest will be on sports. So this info we're going to save it on the client. So thereby we identify what the user is interested in, right? And whenever there is a request made for the news website again, we'll also get this particular cookie. We'll understand that this user is interested in sports, so we'll be giving more priority to sports based news on our site to this specific user. So this is the demo that we are going to see. We'll understand how to set the cookie, and we'll see how the user gets information or news about a certain category after the cookie is set. We'll also take a demonstration on how to delete a cookie. So let's go to the demonstration right now. Let us first take a look at the output of our demonstration, and then we'll see how to code this. So this is the news website that I was talking about. I'm just mimicking a news website, and you can see here we have news from different categories like music, automobile, and sports. Content is the content pertaining to that topic in that specific category. And once when the client requests for my news website, you are able to see that he's getting news from all the categories, and I'm giving an option for him to register his interest. So he can very well select the news that he's interested in. Let's say he's interested in automobile, and then he submits. So now his interest is registered, and from now on, whenever he again requests the page, let's say he's again requesting my news website, and what happens now? So now you're able to see that the importance is given only to automobile news. So somewhere from the server, we were able to identify that this user is interested in automobile after he has registered his interest. And that we have done by writing a cookie to the browser on the client. And then whenever the request is made, we're able to read the cookie and understand that this user is interested in this specific category. And we're just pushing that news of that category to the user. So that's all about the theory. Now let's start coding this. We'll see how to complete this. Let's start with the code now. Let's see how to create this news website. So for this news website, I'm maintaining the entire category, topic, and content for my site inside a MySQL database. So here is this table news, which is present in a database with my name, that is Satish. So here we have the columns to be topic, category, and content. I'm just pulling out this specific table and throwing it on the web page. So that's how the news website is getting created. Let's start with creating the news website now. So this is a demo on use of cookies in PHP. And we'll start with a simple web page, and we'll give the title as demo on cookies. Demo on use of cookies in PHP. And the very first thing that we'll give to the user is the user can register his interest. So we'll ask the user, we'll give a label, and then we'll say this is for the interests or interest, and then we'll say register your interest. So we're going to provide an hyperlink wherein the user, when he clicks, he'll be taken to this page, and we can say click here to register. So in this page, we'll provide the option for the user to register a specific interest. So let's code this page. that is cookie.php. So we'll code cookie.php wherein the user will register his interest. So this is where the user will register. We'll say user registration, something like that. And we'll provide a form. The action is will be on the same page. Method we'll use to be post. And we're not going to have any JavaScript validation for now due to time constraint. I'll just say return true on submit. So if you're looking in for some JavaScript validation, you can have that method here and perform the validation. Now we can have a label here. Say this is for the interests. Say select your interest. Now we'll get the interests of the user using a radio option. So we'll say input type is radio. We'll have a name. So in a radio option, we should have the name to be the same for all the options, and value. We'll map the different categories here. So first one is sports. And this is what the user is going to see, sports break. So here we'll have a break. So like that, we are going to have many categories. Let's copy this. So next category will be on music. Next category will be on automobile. Maybe we'll have one more category that's on crafts. So we'll change all these things so user will be able to see sports, music, and here automobile, and finally crafts. And we'll have a submit button following this. So input type is submit. We'll have value to be submit and name to be submit. So our form is ready. Let's take a look at our form. So it's going to be register here and select your interests. User is going to select one of his interests and submits. Once when he submits, we should be writing this cookie. We should be setting a cookie on the client. So how to perform that? Let's say the user submits. So on submit, a cookie should be written to the client. So let's code that one now. So let's say the user submits it. So we are going to have our PHP code in our cookie.php file wherein the user registers his interest. So after registering, we're going to be on the same page. That's what is the meaning. So action is equal to cookie.php. When you click submit, so this PHP code is going to run. So first thing we are going to check is whether the submit is set. So if set, we'll use the super global variable $_post and check whether the button is set. And now we know what the user has registered. We know the interest of the user. We have to write this cookie. For this, we'll call this method set cookie, and we'll give the name for this cookie as interest, and the value, whatever value that's coming in as part of the form. So when the user selects a radio option here, what will be the value? It's $_post, and the name will be interest. So that's the value that the user is going to enter. So we'll directly populate it to the cookie. So it is $_post. So we'll give the name that is interest. So this is the interest that the user has selected. And the next parameter that we're going to give is the time. The next parameter we are going to give is the time in seconds, like how long this cookie will be alive on the client. So we'll call the time method. So that returns the current time, and we have to mention the time in seconds. Say we'll make this cookie to be alive for 2 days on the client, so it's going to be 2 days, so 24 hours and 60 minutes and 60 seconds. So it's like we have to mention the time required for 2 days in seconds here. So it's 24 hours, each hour having 60 minutes and each minute having 60 seconds into 2. So added to the current time. So this says the cookie will be alive for 2 days on the client from the time it has been set on the client. So that's how you set a cookie, and we can just have an echo statement saying your interest has been registered. So what is that we understand here is the user is coming in, he is setting up his interest, and once when the user identifies his interest, we'll be writing that as cookie back to the client. And what are the fields that we are writing? We are giving the name for the cookie, and then we are posting the interest selected by the user from the form, and we are setting an expiration time for the cookie in seconds. Finally, we send a message saying your interest has been registered. So let's take a look at our output now. Let's get to main cookie.php. So this is our main page, and when I click here to register, so this is what the user gets. Say he selects automobile and then he submits. Your interest has been registered. So now what is that meaning here? We have returned the cookie to the client. Now using this cookie, we will be checking what is the interest of the user, and then we'll be populating the news pertaining to that user. So let's see how to code that. So we have to go to a main page, and what is that we need to check here is whenever the user requests for my site, I should be first checking whether the interest has been already set by the user. If the interest has been already set, then I have to bring only news of that specific category and display to the user. So let's code this PHP script here. So the very first thing I'm going to include here is a file db.php, and what is there inside this file is it has got functions for establishing connection with the database. So what is this file all about? Let's take a look at the file. I've already coded this. So this has got a connection to the database. We'll be opening connection, and then we also have a function for closing connection. So we have discussed in depth how to connect and work with databases in our previous sessions. If you are new to this, please refer to my previous session on database connectivity using PHP. So why I need a DB connectivity code? That's because my entire news is stored inside the table called news under the database Satish. So you're going to have topic, category, and content. So this works like this. When the user has registered an interest, I'll be checking whether the cookie of a certain interest is set, and using that I'll be fetching in only the topics of that category and will be displaying that to the user. If the user has not registered his interest, then we're going to bring the news from all the categories and then display it to the user. So if a category has been set as a cookie, bring that category and display it to the user. If the category has not been set, then what we do, we bring all the news content from the news table and display it to the user. So this is a concept, and that's why we are going to use the connection code for the DB in our file. So let's go to main cookie.php. So we included the DB connection code. So first we'll open a database connection. So $connection is equal to. So this is a method in db.php which will return a database connection. And next thing is we will check whether the cookie has been set. So we'll check if is set. And how is that you're going to check? By using the super global variable $_cookie, and the cookie that we have written, the name of the cookie is interest. So if this cookie has been set, and then the next condition we're going to check is, and the value for this cookie is not null. So it's going to be and $_cookie. So this should not be null. It's not only set, it should have a value. So it's not equal to null. So you're going to check these two things. So it means the cookie, the interest has been set and the value for the cookie is not null. Then what we can do is we can get the interest submitted by the user. $interest is equal to $_cookie and whatever interest. So we are just retrieving this info from the client itself, right? Say if you have selected sports, then this cookie will contain the value sports, which we're getting in $interest. And now we'll be executing a query on the table and we'll be fetching only those rows that are pertaining to his interest. So it's going to be, we'll call our prepare statement here, $connection, and then we'll write the query, select star from news table where category is equal to, so we'll have a question mark here. And what a prepare statement will return, it will return the object of a statement class, which will get as like this $statement. And next we'll bind the parameters. So $statement bind parameters. So what is the first thing? The first thing is the type of the parameter. It's a string. And what is the parameter we are going to bind here? $interest. So we're retrieving the interest from the cookie, binding that to the SQL query, and we'll be executing that SQL query on the database. So how you execute is $statement and then you call execute. Execute method will execute the query, and this execute method is going to get us the result. So we'll get the result from the statement object. So it is get result. And we'll go row by row from the table, and then we'll print all the records pertaining to this interest to the user. If $result has got num rows greater than 0. So it means we have certain records of that specific interest in the table. What we'll do is we will echo the entire table as an HTML table to the user. So we'll have this echo statement. So we'll be starting off a table here. We'll have a border. We can always have a border in CSS too, but here we'll just go with this HTML border. We'll start a row. So this is the header row. So th, the column will be on the topic. Likewise, we'll have two more columns for category and content. So we're just fetching everything from the database, right? In the database, we have topic, category, and content. That's it. So that's our header, and we'll be closing our header row here. Now we'll fetch the results as an associative array. Say while $row, we'll fetch each row as an associative array, that is $result. The method is fetch associative array. So we are going to have every row returned as an associative array. We will write it as an HTML table. So we'll be starting our row here. We'll echo this row. So it's going to be column wise content. Say first we're going to have this topic coming in. So that's every row has got a topic, category, and content. So we're going to have the topic displayed. These are the data rows. And we'll close the column. A little tedious to write it as an HTML table. Since we have three more columns, two more columns. Let's replicate that. So next column will be displaying the category. The next column will be on the content. So we are fetching all the records pertaining to that user's interest and displaying it. We'll close our table. So it's echo. Let's close this table that we have opened. And this entire thing happens when there are news, when there are records, say numbers is greater than 0. What if there are no news pertaining to that category? We can say else echo, sorry, we have no news. So let me repeat what we have done. We are checking whether the cookie has been set and the value for the cookie is not null. Then we are getting the value in the cookie. Say if we have selected automobile, then we are getting that in the interest, and we are binding the interest to the SQL query. What is the query? We are getting the news from the table where category is equal to the interest that the user has already set, right? And that we are retrieving it from the cookie, and we are executing the query on the database. And if the number of rows returned is greater than 0, we are writing the news out to the page. We fetch every record from the table as an associative array, and then we bind the content to the HTML table, and then we are printing it. If the number of rows returned for that interest is 0, then we'll say sorry, we have no news for you. So all these things happen only when the cookie is set. Let's assume that the user is visiting the website for the first time. He has not registered his interest. Then it means that cookie has not been set. So what is that we have to do here is we have to go with an else part. Say if the cookie has not been set. It's always possible, right? The user visits the website for the first time. So this cookie was not returned to the browser. So this cookie was not set and the value was null, or the cookie is not even set. So then we're going to come to the else part, and what we're going to do here is we're going to just display the entire news like that to the user. If the cookie has not been set, we're just going to select all the news from the news table and display it to the user. So let me just copy paste this. So it's going to be no binding of parameters here because the user has not set any interest. It's going to be select star from news. So we're going to get all the records out, and we're not going to bind any parameters here. Execute, get the results row by row, display to the user. That's it. Close the table. So this happens when a cookie has been set with a specific interest on the browser. And this else part executes when there has been no cookie set on the browser. So we have to bring every news from the table and display it to the user. So we are done with the code. I hope you were able to follow this. Let's take a look at the demonstration. So let's go to main cookie.php. See, now a cookie has been set. That is, we have run this code earlier. So there's a cookie here. So first we'll delete the cookie, and then we'll again rerun our code. So how to delete a cookie? So for deleting a cookie, let me go to delete cookie.php. So I told you when you want to delete a cookie, the thing that you have to do is you have to set the expiration time to a negative value. So let's see what is the code involved in deleting a cookie. Let's code this PHP script here. So this is for deleting the cookie that we have set. So for deleting the cookie, we again call set cookie method, and then we pass the name for the cookie, that is interest is the name for the cookie, value. So value is going to be null, and we're going to set an expiration time that's a negative. So we'll call the time method, and then we'll give some negative value here, say 3600 seconds, something like that. And just for info, we'll say cookie has been deleted. So this is just for deleting the cookie that we have set. So when you execute the script, whatever cookie has been set with this name, its value will be nullified, and we are given an expiration time in negative. So that is important. When you're deleting a cookie, you have to give the expiration time as a negative value. Let's first run the script. Let's delete the cookie. So how will you delete a cookie? See, now the cookie has been set. We are just getting info only on automobile category. Let's delete the cookie. So we'll first delete the cookie. So it is delete cookie.php. So cookie has been deleted. Now there are no cookies. Say when the user visits the website for the first time, so he's going to access my website. So this is my main page, main cookie.php. So you're able to see he's getting news from every category. So there has been no filter here because no cookie has been set. Now he is registering his interest. Say he is interested in automobile. So now when he registers his interest, a cookie with interest as automobile will be returned to the browser. So registered his interest. Now when he again visits my site, we'll be using the cookie info. So now when he is visiting my site again, you see only information on automobile is sent to him. So that's what we have done here. So in the main cookie, we are just checking whether the cookie has been set. If the cookie has been set, bring the news pertaining to that cookie. If there is no cookie set, bring all the news and display it to the user. So how is that you set the cookie? We have thrown him an radio option. When he selects an interest, we are just calling set cookie, giving a name for the cookie, writing that value, and then setting an expiration time, and we are writing this to the client. Once when the cookie is set, what we can do is we can fetch only the news pertaining to that specific cookie. And we have also seen how to delete a cookie. And how you delete a cookie, we call the set cookie function. We give the name for the cookie, we nullify the value, and then we set the time in negative. So that's how you delete a cookie. With that, our demonstration is over. I hope you were able to follow this simple demonstration, and I hope you were able to understand the use of cookies in PHP and the various methods associated with cookies. If you have any questions, you can leave those questions as comments below. I'll be looking into it. With that, we are coming to an end of this session. Thank you all for listening. Take care.